Greetings, BUSN 1360 Software Apps for Business students. So welcome to this wonderful spring day. If you are watching this in the spring semester, if you are watching this video in the fall semester, I might be welcoming you to a cold winter day. But wherever you are, I hope you are warm and safe. And today we start with some fun with PowerPoint Chapter 1, The Grader. So let's try to earn our perfect score together. And I think you're going to like this. I'm going to exit out of this particular PowerPoint, and let me start by just talking about what we're going to learn today. This is the first page of your digital book. So, you go under the index here, scroll down to PowerPoint, and click this Introduction to PowerPoint, Creating a Basic Presentation. And I remind you of this because it is such a great resource. First of all, you can look up things very quickly by simply clicking on the objective. So if you're having trouble with one of these particular items, you just click on it and go. What we might skip over that I really want to remind you of is this link to hands-on exercises. If I saw this, I might, as a student, say, that just looks like more work. I'm in the middle of doing work. Why do I want to click something that has more work? But it's really not more work because it is a video of things that you have done in the simulation and things that you may be called upon to do in this greater project. And instead of presenting it as chopped up steps, it is going to be the sequence of steps together. But that being said, you'll notice that there's multiple hands-on exercises and that each one covers a grouping of steps. So notice that this even tells you that it correlates to the MyIT Lab simulation training. Okay, so I'm not going to play this, but if you scroll down, see the video, and so this is a little 5, almost 6-minute chunk of information, and it will demonstrate, it'll go right through and demonstrate steps in that exercise. There is closed caption when you hover over the screen. This is a little bit of a strain on my network, so the video is not going to play at this moment. But
career counselor and career and employment service.
Okay, it's kind of buffering a lot because it's a strain. As I record this video, it's a little bit too much of a strain on my computer. Of course, you have the pictures inside of here and steps. And again, where was this? This was hands-on exercise. So just remember that that resource is here for you. This is part of your digital book, which is also searchable. As we enter PowerPoint, I also want to take this moment to remind you that the best way to go into MyIT Lab is to click on Course Materials. When you click on Course Materials, you see all the folders, and then when you open, in this case, the PowerPoint Chapter 1 folder, you will see your e-text. That's the book that we just opened. You'll see the audio slides, which might be very beneficial to you. You'll see links to things like your quizzes and your PowerPoint simulation. Now, here's why I point out that this is the best way, going through course materials. Notice that these things are checked as completed, and that will happen whenever you are deemed as passing by MyIT Lab. That tends to be 70% or above. And so it will no longer show you these activities so that you can improve your score. Why would I want to settle for a 72%, let's say, on a quiz when I can repeat it, knowing the answers now, looking up the answers, and get that perfect 100%. And if it's not on my to-do list, I might think that I don't have additional attempts, but you do. So make sure you take the time to go back in there. That same thing is true for the simulation. It could fall off your to-do list, but if you go through course materials, you'll find that you can go in, access it again, and you might want to look something up. Since I only record the highest score that you earn, why not go back in, go directly to the one task that you need to work on, and then learn from that task so that, for example, you could implement that or apply that knowledge in the grader. But we are here today to work on the grader. If I click that to open it, oops, did I click it? Here it comes. I wanted to point out one other thing. I love your textbook. I love that it's digital. I love that it's searchable, that it's clickable, that the videos that you have, I love the simulations that are directly in support of the work that, that you're doing. But you'll notice, and I kept this up here specifically to show you, that sometimes you can find great information on the internet, just Googling it, right? Because these are common business tasks that people on the job are trying to do. So Microsoft even puts out links to those things. Other colleges, other universities, other schools are doing these same tasks. So you can sometimes Google and find exactly the information that you need. I happened to look down and it was like step 9, and I haven't done this exercise yet, but I just looked down and I said, okay, apply bevel perspective left, white picture style. And I thought that probably, oh, I didn't even spell bevel right. So look how great just Googling it can be. It found it, it listed some results here, and I noticed that this result was specifically from Microsoft, and I said, that's fantastic. So I clicked it, I opened it in a new browser tab, and what I found is that there's all these step-by-step instructions. There's even a video, and you can see it says it won't play. That's the fault of my computer, because as I'm trying to run all of these things and record this video on my system, it's just a little bit more than my internet connection can bear during this time of COVID, as we're all working from home. So please forgive me on that. But know that there is a video in this particular case, but step-by-step instructions, a picture, and I mean, I went to that just very quickly. Here's my point. As we are learning these tasks and these tools, I hope that you will remember this through your application of it, take it into the workforce, and just wow your future employers or your current employer. But sometimes if we know something is possible, and that's the key, you know something is possible, then we just need to recall the steps, and Google is great for that. If you don't know it's possible, you would never Google it. You would never look for how to do it, because in your mind it's not even an option, right? But now that you're taking the course and you're learning all these things and you know that it's possible, that enables you to use resources like Google long after the textbook is gone, okay? So I wanted to take a moment and remind you of that. So let's get to work on the grader. Now, I have already downloaded the materials, but I did want to take a moment to talk to you about this as well. When I click on Download Materials, for the PowerPoint chapters, there are many files. That's often because PowerPoints are very dynamic. They include a lot of pictures and pizzazz within them. So you're going to be downloading a lot of files. I have encouraged you to download these files one by one, and that's because it gives you a more pure file. But today I am going to go ahead and mention this Download All Files button. If I click that, I'm going to do that, you'll notice that I don't see each and every individual file downloading. Instead, I see only one file. Now, I have my computer set up to display these extensions like .docx and .pptx. That's a setting on your computer. This file, because I have that setting, I can tell this file is a zip file. And what does that mean when something is zipped up? And it's a different name in Mac on your Apple computers, which I forget for just the moment, but it's a compressed file. Now, what I do not want you to do, because it will cause problems, is if you open this folder and you see these files and you start editing them, it can cause problems because they are compressed, they are zipped, and so you're trying, it's when you think of compressed and zipped, think of those like Ziploc bag type things that you put clothes or blankets or documents that you want to protect in, and you squeeze all the air out of it. Imagine that you had a nice blanket inside one of those zipped bags, and you said, gosh, I love that blanket. I'm going to use it to stay warm. But you didn't pull the blanket out of the bag. You just set the bag on top of you. You'd say, that's not going to be as protective. It's not going to allow me to unfold the blanket and to spread the blanket over me. That's the same thing here. What you're making the computer do, if you try to edit in this mode, if it even allows you to edit, and that depends on your computer a bit, is you're trying to make it function, for example, as a PowerPoint file while it's simultaneously compressing, and that can lead to trouble. So how do you handle this? You simply select all the files. Now, many ways to do that. Using some of the things that we've learned, you can click the first one, hold your Shift key down, and click the last one. And what that does is it selects everything from the first point that you clicked until the last point that you clicked. With those files selected, you can copy. So many ways to do that. Control-C, you can click the copy button, and then you paste them into a folder. Now, that's what I did. In my case, I use a flash drive, and I created a folder called PowerPoint 1, and I just pasted those files directly into my folder. When I did that, it unzipped or decompressed those files. So now I don't have to worry about all that computer, work that's opening and compressing and editing and compressing. Just kind of get out of that, okay, by copying those files into a folder. Let me briefly refresh on that again, and let me go to, this is in my downloads folder. I'm going to close that. So you are perfectly fine to go in and download these one at a time, no problem. And that is a very reliable method, and you'll know exactly what you have and have not downloaded. If you choose this option that was here to download all files, then you will see one zipped file. Your task will then be to open that zipped file, select everything inside, copy it, and paste it into a new location, let's say a new file folder, where your files are nicely organized. So a little prep work that I wanted to talk to you about as we get started into this new module, this new content that we're covering. I will also emphasize, if you have not created folders for your work, this is the time to do it, because you are going to be working with a lot of files, and so it's going to be much easier if they're all organized in one common related folder rather than intermixed with other Excel work and other Word and future PowerPoint that you're trying to accomplish. All right, so enough prep. I know you're ready to get started. Let's do that. So as I look at the files in here, I notice a Word file. See the little blue icon, the Word file? If you're having trouble seeing that, remember that you can go to View. You could pick extra large or large icons, whatever is easiest for you. I'm going to go large icons so that I can see these a little more clearly. And if I see this big Word document, that's my instruction file. And I've already opened that, and I'll just briefly view it with you. This is our very first grader project in this chapter, so it looks like we have about 16 steps. No problem, as I always say, we're going to do them one at a time, so it doesn't matter how many steps there are. If I go back, look at my files again, I see some pictures in here. I'm going to use those in my PowerPoint presentation. We like to make our PowerPoint presentations snazzy. I see something that says Gallery. And again, because of the settings on my computer, I see that this is a THMX, or a theme file. So it's going to give my PowerPoint a really nice look and a consistent look across the different slides. But I also see this picture that ends in the word result, and that looks like this is what the end result is going to look like. I've already opened that. Let's take a look at it. This is a case, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's really nice to see the coloring. Look at that is a fancy picture. It's tilted like that, so I know that that's coming. And I can see how the bullets, this looks like 2 columns of bullets. This one is in a white box with a fancy title up here. Another picture there, it looks like it has a nice border on it. This is fancy, the 6 boxes. All sorts of things. So I'm starting to see what this is going to look like when everything is done. Great. Finally, as I look at my files, I see the one that starts with my name. My pretend student name is Betty Baker, so there's my last name, Baker, and that's my PowerPoint file. Now, I see this PowerPoint file. There's another PowerPoint called Time. Now, you know that when you submit your work into My IT Lab, the grader project, you only submit one file. So why would they give us two files? If I had to guess, and I honestly have not done this yet, this exercise, if I had to guess, I would say it's because we're going to combine these two files. That's a common thing that we do throughout these textbooks. So I say I haven't done this. I think I did this last year, but my memory's kind of faded. So we're doing it together for the first time, all right? And you're going to work with me, and you'll see me make some mistakes, as we all do. We'll correct those mistakes as we all need to, because that's how we learn, okay? So let's jump into this together. I've already opened my PowerPoint file, and it's a blank file. Wow, okay. Why didn't they just tell me to create a blank PowerPoint? Here's why. Because in My IT Lab, your files that you begin with are coded uniquely and specifically to you. If you were to submit another student's file, it would be flagged as something that has been plagiarized, cheating, and it would alert me to that. We don't want to do that, even if you're copying and pasting from somebody else's file. So the file is uniquely coded, so make sure you're using your file. So with that being said, let's go to the instructions. We're starting with our uniquely coded file. Here it is. And the first thing they tell us to do is to apply the gallery theme and change the variant to the second variant. Let's go to the PowerPoint. Well, if we're going to apply the gallery theme, we need to go to Design. This is our themes. When you hover over them, you'll see the name, and I see Gallery, so I'm going to click that one. Third one, first row. So here's our gallery theme. It's already looking a little better, right? But they didn't stop there. They said change the variant. So within each theme, there's little changes to the theme that might fit your purposes a little better, and those are called variants. They're over here, and you can see this is the first one. It has this wooden floor and kind of a, how would you describe that, grayish background? Well, they want us to apply the second one. So when I hover over it, I haven't even selected it yet, I just hover over it, it gives me a preview. That looks a little bit more like the end result picture. The color's not right yet, but it looks like the one we want, and it is the second one, so I'm going to click it. Let's go back to the instructions. Step 3. Change the theme colors to Aspect and the theme fonts to Corbel. Let's go back. All right, so we are changing something with the themes. Specifically, we are changing the theme colors. So I'm on the Design tab, and as I look across underneath the variants, I can click on, do you see it? I can click on this drop-down box, and they first ask me to change the colors, and they ask me to change the colors to Aspect. They are not in alphabetical order, so you really have to look carefully. And for me, it's this very last one, and as I hovered over it, you could probably already see it's starting to change. And then once again, I'm going to click on that drop down, and this time I'm going to go to Fonts, and they ask to change to Corbel. Looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down, Corbel. So I've changed the font. Now, why didn't I just go to the Home tab and change it? Why did I come under this variant? Because I want every future slide that I create to subscribe to that color combination and to that font. And when I set this as part of the theme, that will happen. If I was to go to the Home tab and set the font or the color, what would happen is it would only apply to what was selected. Remember our motto that what is selected will be affected. In this case, we wanted it throughout the presentation, so we needed to apply that to the theme. Let's go back to our instructions. Oh, I haven't saved. Let's save. Now go back to the instructions. Step 4. Add the title Time Management in the title placeholder and type Use Your Time Wisely in the subtitle placeholder. So here in the title placeholder, we clicked Time Management. Now I'm going to click in the subtitle, use your time wisely. For the grader especially, make sure that you are typing each word correctly. Watch your capitalization. That's very important. It's good that you have to watch that because in a professional presentation, you would want your capitalization to be correct. You would want your spelling to be correct. Back to our instructions. Step 5. If you want to use slides from another presentation, remember that other presentation? The Reuse Slides feature saves considerable time, as you do not have to copy and paste slides from another presentation. And then they go on to say, use the Reuse Slides feature to add all slides from the time PowerPoint presentation in the open presentation. Preserve the order of the slides. Ensure the Use Source Formatting or Keep Source Formatting checkbox is not selected so that the inserted slides take on the design and the formatting of our current presentation. We don't want to keep it from its original source. We want it to take the formatting of our slides. So it says ensure that that's not selected. All right, let's go back to our presentation. So we're going to insert slides. And here's reuse slides. If you're using an older version of PowerPoint, you probably need to click New Slides, and you'll find it down here at the bottom. So multiple ways to get to this. In older versions, only one way, but in the current version, all I have to do is click on Reuse Slides. This panel opens on the side. It's going to show previous PowerPoints so that I could quickly open something that I may have opened in the past. I'm not going to use any of those. I'm going to browse. This is where it's very good to know where is your data, right? So mine is on my flash drive and it's in my PowerPoint folder. And I'm going to pick Time and choose Content. Now, as I look, it's previewing my slides, and they look very plain, right? And that's fine. But at the top, and depending on PowerPoint versions, may be located in different places, notice this checkbox, Use Source Formatting, and we do not want that. Okay, so I'm going to uncheck that. Now, when I get ready to add these slides, I can click them one by one, and that's really great if you are just going to add 1 or 2 slides from a past presentation that you've done. But especially since I want to preserve the order, notice that it says Insert All Open in PowerPoint. Sometimes you can right-click. In older versions of PowerPoint, you can right-click, and that will be one of your options to insert all of the PowerPoints. I'm going to go ahead and click Insert All Open in PowerPoint, and look at the left-hand side here. Now, see slide number 1 in this left-hand side? This is what we started with, and notice it's not selected. But see this border around each of the subsequent slides? That means that they're all selected. That's important because what is selected will be affected. If I was to, I don't know, apply some kind of slide coloring to the background of my slide, anything that was selected would be affected. If I hit Delete on my keyboard, anything that is selected will be affected. So be on the lookout for that. But it just simply tells me that all of these were imported when I clicked this. Make note of that, so if you click it multiple times, you would import those slides multiple times. Sometimes you want to do that because you need a particular slide to appear in multiple places, but just be aware. That's all I'm saying. Just be aware of that. So perfect. Let's go back to our instructions. On to step 6, let me scroll up. It says delete slide number 2. Move slide 3 so that it becomes slide 2. Alrighty, back to PowerPoint. Now, I can certainly work like this. I don't want to hit delete. That would delete all of my slides, so I'm going to click any one slide. And I can simply click slide 2, and they said to delete it. I'm pressing delete on my keyboard. Now, this is slide 3. And I've selected it, and I can drag and drop it so that now it's slide 2. I'm going to save that. I mention that because I want you to be comfortable with this interactivity within PowerPoint. However, if from your book you recall, and this would be certainly would be a correct thing to do, that I'm going to get rid of this side panel, that you can go to the slide sorter view that's down here at the bottom, and you could click that, and this is this to me is like I've printed all my slides and I've laid them out on the floor and I'm going to rearrange them. So this is a nice way to reorganize your slides if that's what you're interested in doing. I'm just saying there's more than one way to do it. I just clicked this, or I could click a slide, right? There's so many ways to approach each one of these, but I want you to be comfortable with whichever one works best for you. I did save that. Let me save, and let's go back to the instructions. On to step 7. Click slide 5 and add a new slide. Change the slide layout to content with the caption on the newly inserted slide. Content with caption on the newly inserted slide. In the top left placeholder, this is what we're going to type, including the question mark, and increase the font size of the text to 44 point and apply bold. Then we have another part of this step. Click the bottom placeholder and type identify aspects of your personal management that need to improve, and then we're going to increase that font size. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint, and it said click slide 5. Now I'm referencing the printout that I have of my instructions just so I don't forget anything. And with that slide selected, it said to add a new slide. We could just add any old slide and then change the layout. We could certainly do that, but I clicked on the little drop down part of new slide and it said to change it to content with caption. So here's content with caption. In the top left placeholder, that's this one, type what's stealing your time. Oops, let me spell correctly. Your time, including the question mark, and increase the font size of the text to 44 point and apply bold. Got to be careful here, because if I start increasing my text now, it's not selected. Now, we could just simply drag that text to select it. Another thing that we could do is select the placeholder. If I select the placeholder, anything that is typed into this box will pick up, into this placeholder box, will pick up the new formatting. So I've got, see the dots going around that placeholder? That means it's selected. And if I go to Home, it said increase the font size to 44. Well, I can keep clicking on increase, but that's going to take me forever. I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to go down here to 44, and it said to apply bold. I'm going to save. Alright, but that was only part of that step. Next it said click this bottom placeholder, so I've clicked there, and we're going to type identify aspects of your personal management that need to improve! Exclamation point. Now again, my cursor is sitting at the end, nothing is selected. I need to maybe select the text. I'm going to select the placeholder, and again I'm doing that by just moving my mouse directly on top of the border of the placeholder, and when it's selected I'll see those dots going around the placeholder box. I'm going to go up here to my font box, and they wanted size 24. They did not say to bold, so that should do the job. Save that. Back to the instructions. That was step 7. On to step 8. Images can be used to enhance a presentation and better portray your message. So on the newly created slide 6, we're going to insert one of these images, steal, and it's a JPG, that's an image file, pronounced JPEG. Insert the steal JPEG in the content placeholder on the right. Change the width of the image to 6.3 inches. Back to PowerPoint. We're going to click over here. Now, lots of ways to do this. As I hover over each one of these little bitty icons, I'll eventually get to pictures. But do you see, I mean, this is one of the great things about the new edition of PowerPoint. Has a lot more richness, better richness to the graphics. I'm going to just insert a picture. Make sure that you are going to your uh, location where you saved your files. For me, it was on my flash drive and in my PowerPoint 1 folder. So you'll need to be able to navigate to the correct location. And the picture file was the steel JPEG, and insert. Now it is inserted. Notice up at the top, I'm on my picture format bar, and on this right-hand side, this is part of this new version of PowerPoint. It's trying to give me some suggestions. It says, look, man, your PowerPoint would really look snazzy if you changed it to this or this or this or this, one of these cool designs. They are cool. I like that feature. I think it's a great time saver, but we're not interested in that right now. Instead, we want to change the width, which is this lower box, to 6.3. 6.3, enter. Okay, notice the height, because it's keeping it proportional. We don't want that picture to be stretched funny, so it kept it proportional and it adjusted it. And that's all they said. I'm going to save that. I do not need the design ideas right now, so I'm going to close that panel. Let's go back to the instructions. On to step 9. Apply, this is what I was, Googling before, right? Apply the bevel, perspective left, white picture style. Change the picture border to tan, background 2. Set the horizontal position of the image to 4.8 inches and the vertical position to 1.5 inches. Let's go back. So we have our picture, and make sure that your picture is selected. Won't work if you've clicked away, for example. You need to come back, click on the picture. With my picture selected, I'm going to go up here to Picture Styles. I'm going to click this drop-down box. Now I'm looking for something that has a white border, something like this, but it is beveled. It says bevel perspective left. So as I look through this, and isn't this cool as you hover over this to see the neat effects that you can apply? Looks like you spent hours on something. And in fact, you know that it only took you minutes. And it looks like this one on the bottom row, third one over, says bevel perspective left, white picture style. That's the one that we want. I'm going to click that. And then it says, let's see, I need to change the border style to tan. So up here at the top, here's picture border. I'm going to click that drop down. And then as I look across, I have to say this was a little confusing to me, because to me tan would have looked more like this one down here, but this one says tan accent 6. So make sure you're reading those little tips that come up as you hover your mouse over. And what I found is the third one over on the very first row under theme colors is tan background 2. So I'm going to select that. So it set the horizontal position of the image 4.8 and the vertical position to 1.5 inches. Now they did not say the height and width. Instead they said the horizontal position. So when I look across at my picture formatting, I don't readily see the position. So I'm going to click on the little call out box for size, and notice as I hover over it, it says size and position. So I clicked on that. Now again at the top it's talking about size, but if I look further down, here's position. I'm going to click the triangle to open the position, and it says horizontal position should be 4.8. So I'm just replacing that 4.8, and I pressed enter. And then for vertical position, which is this box here, 1.5. Now you'll notice that it says from top left corner. They did not instruct us to change that, so I'm going to leave that as from top left corner. But depending on what you're doing, you have some options there. You could do this from the center, but I'm keeping that from top left corner. I'm going to save that, and let's go back to the instructions. So that was step 9. On to step 10. Change the layout of slide 4 to title and content. Insert this image time marches, it's a JPEG, in the content placeholder, crop the top and bottom of the image so that most of the white area is removed. I love that. Change the width of the image to 7.9 inches. This is something that students often struggle with, so this is a great step for us to go over together. Let's go first to slide 4. Over here on the side, I'm just clicking slide 4. And the first thing they said, change the layout. So up here, layout, we're going to change that to title and content. It's this one. And remember, we have all these little icons. And I'm going to go down here to picture. And they want us to insert time marches, and that's in my PowerPoint 1 folder. So remember where you saved your files. And I've inserted it. Now I'm starting to get a lot of panels lined up here on the side. The design ideas comes up again. I'm going to close that. It's great though. I love those suggestions. Format picture is still open. I'm going to close that for a minute. If I need it again, I'll open it again. And notice that what I really want people to look at is in the center of that picture. But this area, this is all wasted space out here. It doesn't add anything, and in order for people to see this picture file, I would probably have to stretch it to make it really large, and I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to cut out the piece that belongs to me, or more specifically, I want to, or not belongs to me, but that I want people to see. Really more specifically, I want to cut off the ends. So with the picture selected, I'm going to click on the crop button. Now these are no longer sizing handles, they're cropping handles. So when I put my mouse over that little black bar and I press and I drag in, look how much white space I can trim off of that picture. And then I can do the same thing from this side. I don't want to cut the picture, so be careful of the shadow that's around here. But I can certainly get this picture maybe just a touch down here. So all 4 sides I brought in just a little bit, being very careful not to cut the actual content of my picture. I have to be really careful about that. Now when I get finished cropping, I typically just click off to the side someplace. Your book recommends that you click the crop button again, and now you can see the difference. Now with that cropped, and if you were able to crop it really tightly, you're really going to see the difference when you continue in this step. It says crop it, and then it says change the width. Well, I'm going to change the width of a much smaller picture now, so that's going to make the picture much bigger. It's going to allow my audience to see the picture much more clearly. If my original picture with all that white space was made very big, it would still be hard for the people to see the main focus of the image. So with my picture selected, watch this, you'll see what I mean. 7.9, you can type inches or just hit enter, and look at that. See how much more clearly you can see the picture. Now you might be worried that it's off center. I'm sure we're going to take care of that in a moment. So let's save that. But I can really see, this guy running on top of a clock now. He was hard to see before. Let's go back to the instructions. On to step 11. Apply the moderate frame white picture style. Change the picture border to tan. We want to be consistent. Tan background too. And then set, here's how we're going to fix it. We're going to set the horizontal position and the vertical position. One step at a time. Let's go back to PowerPoint. So our picture is still selected. We've got our picture format bar up here, and here are my styles. And I'm looking for moderate. That's beveled. I'm looking for a moderate frame. That's the metal frame. Moderate frame white. So let me click on these drop down boxes. How about this one? There it is. Third row, second one over, moderate frame white. And see how I'm going to move away. You can see the picture. And then I'm going to hover over it again. And see how it makes it stand up a little bit? Looks very nice. I'm going to click on that. And then we're going to change that background color to the tan color, so picture border. And I remember that tan is this one. So now I'm really starting to see that picture much better. And once again, I need to change the positioning. So I've clicked on that call out box. Underneath position, the horizontal position is going to be 2.7 and the vertical position is going to be 2.5. Now I'm going to close this so that you can see it. I'm going to save it, and I'm even just for a brief moment going to go into slideshow view. See how you can start to see this picture now? It's really starting to look good. Maybe I cropped mine a little too close because I can see it's kind of running off the page a little bit, but you can really see, hey, this guy is out of time. He's racing the clock, isn't he? He's marching on. Time is marching on. I hit the escape key on my keyboard to go back into editing mode. Now let's go back to the instructions. That was step 11. Looks like we are moving on to page 2 of our instructions. We only have a few steps left. Step 12, isn't this kind of fun? I mean, aren't you just seeing you making it really pretty and professional and dynamic? It looks great. Smart Art. Smart Art allows you to communicate information visually. That sounds like a quiz question. Smart Art allows you to communicate information visually with graphics instead of just using text. So on slide 5, we're going to convert the list to a vertical box list smart graphic. All right, let's go back to our instructions. I need to select slide 5. And here's my vertical, very bland list. I have to point out, you see the red squiggly? You learned about those in your Word module. So I have a misspelling there. I'm not going to correct it yet because I think that's going to be part of our exercise, but always be on the lookout for things like that. Okay? But right now, our focus is this text, which is kind of boring down here and just listed out, and we want to convert this to a Smart Art. So I've clicked anywhere in this list. Up here at the top, I'm on the Home tab, up here at the top, Convert to Smart Art. How cool is that? And it wants a vertical list. Now that's a vertical box list. Make sure, now that's block, but I need box. Let's see. Hierarchy. I might need to look at the picture. You are probably, it does say more Smart Art. So I clicked on more Smart Art. Now this is the all list. I do know it does say there's a vertical box list. So rather than looking through all, I'm going to filter this a little bit and click on list. Now it says this is a basic block, alternating picture. What looks like vertical. What about this one? It's a vertical picture list. I'm going to look, let's look at the picture very quickly. I still have that open. And I'm wondering, is this it? Oh, I'm sorry, slide 5. Okay, so look at this. It's got the title up here, and then it's got little bullets inside of that. So I think that's what the Smart Art looks like. So let me go back, now that I know what it looks like, and there it is. You probably saw it right away, but I looked at the picture. Now I know what it looks like. Vertical box list, and I'm going to click OK. Now, you get this little floating editing box over here, and it is acceptable to edit either directly on the slide or in this little box. It just depends what you find easier to work with. So sometimes you do certain things in this little floating box and certain things on the slide, just whatever suits your need. I'm going to click on Save. and I'm going to go back to my instructions. Let me scroll up a little bit. Step 13 says we go to slide 3, convert the list to a basic block list SmartArt graphic. Alrighty, let's go back. Slide 3, I'm going to select that. And once again, I have a list. Click anywhere in the list. On the Home tab, across, I see Convert to SmartArt. And I am looking for, this time, a basic block, not box, but block list. I'm going to go to More Smart Graphics. You all probably see these so quickly because I remembered that under All, it was this very first one, Basic Block List. I'm going to click that and OK. Hey, that looks like the picture that we saw a moment ago, so I know I'm on the right track. Click on Save. Now it says, let's go back to the instructions. The instructions say, step number 14, check the presentation for errors. Make corrections as needed on the slides and in the notes. Now you may say to yourself, why do I care about the notes? As you continue through PowerPoint, you're going to be so impressed with everything that it does. For example, you might choose to print these documents and distribute the slides with the notes, at a kiosk that you have. So there are ways that those notes might be published, maybe even to a web page, something like that. So you always want to make sure that your spelling is professional, right? So let's go back to PowerPoint. Now I like to start up here at the top. Let me click slide 1 because I know that Microsoft is going to start from wherever I am and it's going to check spelling, grammar from that point down, and it does sometimes loop back to the top, but I don't want to take any chances. So I'm starting up here by clicking slide number 1. Now I know that editing, spell checking is part of the review process, so I'm going to click on Review. Over here to the side, Spell Check. My spell check box comes up, and sure enough, there's that management word. Let's change. We need to fix that, right? How about establish? We need to make sure that that is spelled correctly. Spell check is complete. Okay. See, in that case, it was in the notes. Do you see it down there? Excellent. Let's go back to the instructions. Step 15, to help you prepare and deliver your presentation, you're going to add some speaker notes. Type the following on slide 6. Now, you know that sometimes when I am talking to you all, I make mistakes as I'm typing. So I'm copying that, but I don't want all that font to come in, the blue, the bold, all of that. So you can certainly just simply type this. I open Notepad and I paste, and then I'm going to, you can Control A to select it all or just drag, and I'm going to copy. With that copied, I'm going to go back to PowerPoint. They said go to slide number 6. Is that right? Slide number 6. And if you do not see this spot down here that says click to add notes, then it is because this bar has been pushed all the way down. See how my notes went away? So what you would do is just take your mouse very slowly as you come over. See how my mouse changes? When it's in that position, press and drag up, and then you'll get that back. Sometimes, just depending on the design that you've used, what work has been done on that particular computer, that note area may be minimized. So you have to drag it again. See how it's gone? And when I move my mouse over very slowly, I'll find it and I can drag it back up. So here I can click and type. I've already copied my text, so I'm just simply going to paste it, and hopefully I've got everything in there correctly. I'm going to save. Let's go back to the instructions. So that was really the final step except for submitting. It does say save and close, and I want to again emphasize that you don't want to submit it with this open. And I'm sorry, I see this error, see this double blue line, to better manage your time, but there was no comma there, which is the grammar issue that it sees. So I'm going to leave it the way they have it. But I'm going to close this, and let's go to my IT lab, and I've already downloaded. It's time to submit. Now, I'm in my Excel capstone. I don't want to be there. I want to go to PowerPoint. Always important, double check. I'm on chapter 1 of PowerPoint. It's my file, not the time file, but the one with my last name. Open, upload, wait for that success so that you know it's uploaded. I wish it meant we also had a perfect score. We're going to find that out in just a moment. Successful upload, submit. Let's go back to course materials. And it says that it's pending, so I like to go ahead and click on the 3 dots, view submissions. Well, how about that? We fulfilled our goal. We met our goal, which was a perfect 100%. That means that I know that you can do exactly the same thing. Don't forget, use your book, use the internet, right? Google as necessary, but your book is an excellent reference. The videos that are embedded in your book, the simulation helps you to prepare, and that quiz kind of underscores things that you're learning and draws attention so that you will know these things and kind of commit them to memory. And I know you can do it. I know you can earn that perfect 100%, and I hope you do. Thanks, folks.